What's going on, y'all? This your boy, Chris Simmons, coming to you with another podcast episode. And as always, I'm with my partner in crime, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Miss Sandra Cruz. What's going on with you, girl? How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's hot as heck out here. It's starting to get in like the summer months. So like even just breathing, you sweat. So right now, like the other day, it was almost like 100 degrees. So yeah, scorcher. This is the time where everybody starts going to the beach. Well, all year long people go, but even more so now because of the heat. So, I mean, it's pretty beautiful outside. There's not one cloud in sight, and it's what 8:16 in the morning. It's gonna be a beautiful day.
All righty. Well, that's what I'm talking about. See, over here, it's still mild. It's like in the 70s. But it's gonna get hot like real soon. You know, Hotlanta is gonna get like close to the 90s here real soon. So but it's better than shoot being in Ohio because I had talked to my mom yesterday and she was like, I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm about to go train somewhere at the park. She's like, oh, it must be nice because up here it's in the 40s. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like that's cold. And this is why I moved out of Ohio. You know what I'm saying? That was one of my main reasons for leaving because the climate is horrible. Like you talk about, you know, people with seasonal depression or, just things of that nature. It's like the weather definitely don't help because it feels like in the South, from my perspective, is more sunnier than up in the North where, majority of the time it's cloudy, it's raining, it's cold. You see what I'm saying? And for me, like I thrive being outside. You see what I'm saying? Because the sun is energy. The sun, see, don't let nobody lie to you and tell you that you shouldn't be in the sun. Now the sun is energy, like it's vitamin D. And people wonder why there's so many people with vitamin D deficiency. Because they want to stay inside all day. You gotta get outside. You gotta get outside for at least 10 to 15 minutes a
Yeah.
day in the sun. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I used to live in Connecticut, so I know exactly what that's all about. It was always gloomy, it was always cold. Now, unless you have skin cancer, like my mom, she has a form of skin cancer where she can only be in the sun for like 15 minutes, and it has to be during the morning time because it's the best sun. They say the best sun is during the morning time. So, yes, you do have to take care of your skin, wear some nice protectant like uh, uh, suntan lotion, like SPF. But after that, the sun does give you energy and it does help with the production of chemicals in your brain to keep you balanced emotionally. So definitely get some sun in your day. It will really help you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, just I encourage y'all, man. Shoot, if you are able to, please every single day go outside, take a walk around your neighborhood or your block, whatever, or just, find a chair, get a chair and just sit outside. You know what I'm saying? Like take that time. Don't feel like you gotta stay in the house all day, man. Definitely get outside, enjoy nature, enjoy, going on a walk, connecting with the earth. You see what I'm saying? Because it's important. I found a trail back in my apartment. My cousin had pointed this out to me. It's like a really nice trail. Like when you go down these stairs, in the back of the, like kind of like toward the back of the complex, they got like a bunch of trails like somewhere behind in the back. And I'll tell you what, once I discovered it, man, like there's like, you know, a few different trails, but the one that I like particularly, is more of like a nature type trail. So where they got like a waterfall and everything like that. They got like rocks. And I found a spot, on a rock where I was just literally just chilling, like big chilling, just seeing the water, flowing and everything, seeing up trees. Man, I'll tell you what, that is some of the most relaxing things you could ever do. So I encourage y'all, man. If y'all got something like that, definitely
Yes,
do
it
that.
definitely is. We have the rainforest out here, and it's the only one in the United States. And so there's a lot of trails and stuff. You do have to get a reservation to go to the rainforest here, but it has a whole bunch, has like several waterfalls, and you can hike all the way up the mountain if you wanted to, but you have to get it reserved. But man, if you can get out and go to any trails you have by your house, man, that's the most invigorating. It's just it's a whole nother level when you spend time in nature. So that sun is really gonna help you. So get out there and do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the discussion of the day. And I want to open up with this. So my weekend has been my weekend was pretty good. It was pretty busy. And I'll tell you what, if you ever help somebody move in and out of the house, like if you ever just moved in general, I'll tell you what, that's a different type of workout. Especially if you got to go upstairs. So one thing that I did this weekend was I helped the sister from my church move. Because people at the church was spreading the word. It was there was a few brothers at the church who were like, hey, like can we would love to have some of y'all come out and help this sister move. Um, and so I remember like there were I had got personally asked by somebody to help move and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, well, I'm not really doing anything on Saturday, Saturday morning. So I'll go out here and help this sister out. And he said it started at 10 o'clock. And so I pull up like around 10:30 because I was doing doing yoga class. And so I pull up and I'm like, they must have finished already. You know what I'm saying? I must have been late. Like she must have had not had a lot of stuff. And so I just like, I'm looking around trying to find the complex and I see the sister come out the U-Haul truck. And she was like, "Oh, are you here to help me move?" I was like, yeah. I was like, "Am I the first one here?" She was like, "Yeah, you the first one here." I'm like, "That's interesting." Cause I'm thinking, all right, I'm coming from this class. I'm trying to make an effort to get here. I'm like, trying to, drive at I'm driving like kind of fast just so I can get there. And I'm the first one there. I'm like, it's 10:30. Like, where's everybody at, right? And so a couple more people show up. It's two brothers that show up. And they was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna need some more help because with the sister shoulders, she had like all these boxes and a couple pieces of furniture, but a lot of it was just boxes, and some of them were really heavy. And I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be breaking my back just to carry these down the stairs, and she lived on the second floor. And so I'm like, all right. So me and the two brothers, we just standing there. We're like, man, like we gonna need more people out here. And they were like, yeah, like I wonder where so and so at, because they sent me out here and they ain't even here. And so we try to reach out to them, tell me why they don't answer the phone. And we like, bro, you know what I'm saying? And then one of the brothers just didn't answer the phone. Another brother didn't answer the phone, but he texted back and he said, "Oh, I'm just coming back in town." I'm like, bruh. And so in my mind, I'm just like, listen, if you're gonna send people out here, you best believe you better be the ones that come out here. You better be in the front and center. And see, this is what I have a problem with, especially when it comes to people at the church, because people at the church they're notorious for doing this. They'll tell you about something. They'll try to get you out to try to help somebody else. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with helping people out. But my thing is this: if you're gonna be the one spreading the word, you got to be the main one to be out there yourself. Because what good is it if you're gonna have somebody do some hard labor like that? You're gonna send somebody out here and say, "Oh, I need you to, if you're available, I want you to come out here and help this sister, help somebody out." And you ain't gonna be the one there. See, you just playing with people's time at that point. You see what I'm saying? And so, even like outside of church, like people are notorious for doing that. People will try to get you to, volunteer or do some, that takes your time, but they ain't gonna be ones in the forefront. You see what I'm saying? So my point is this: if you are the one that wants to organize, if you're the main one, or if you're one of the people that's organizing something to get people out to do something, please be respectful of people's time. I don't care if you're in the church, I don't care if you're at school, I don't care where you're at. You gotta be respectful of your time and you gotta hold yourself accountable. You gotta be the one to be like, hey, I'm gonna be there on time. You see what I'm saying? Because it's one thing to play with other people's time because time is something you don't get back. And so if people are willing to go out their way and try to and try to get there on time for you, because you asked them to, you got to be respectful enough to get there on time. You got to be respectful enough to respect other people's time. Don't just have somebody go out and do something and you ain't gonna be there. You see what I'm saying? This is where again, you just have to you know, understand that time is so valuable. And that's why I was like, how is it that, you know, you gonna send people out here and you ain't gonna be there? See, that just don't make sense to me. You see what I'm saying? So you just have to have that healthy boundaries. You know what I
You know,
mean?
one of the things that came to mind is that when people do this, or people, what you said something key, when people are not respectful of other people's time, I tend to see that they're not respectful of their own time. Because when you're respectful of your own time, you'll always be on time. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when I see that people, like, for example, if I have a meeting and I see that people can't show up, or they tell me late, or they, last minute, for me, it tells me, okay, they're not respectful of their own time. So they're not going to be able to be respectful of my time. And so I think that the most important thing when those things happen is setting your boundaries. Even if it has nothing to do with church or has nothing to do with whatever else, setting your boundaries. Why? Because your time is important, and not letting go of those boundaries. I think as a coach, I had to learn that throughout my business as well, because I would be like, oh, well, it's okay. Maybe they would. But then I started to realize it was inflicting on my time. And so things I needed to get done couldn't get done because I was sitting here waiting for someone else to decide. And you can't wait for somebody else to decide what to do with your time. I think Dr. Phil said it the best when he said, why are you waiting for someone else to make a decision about your life? And I thought about that and I was like, yo, he's so right. Like, I can't wait for someone else to say, well, listen, I can meet at 2 o'clock, and 2 o'clock I'm working, and I have to abandon whatever I'm doing to go and fulfill the needs of someone else. You know, it just doesn't work that way. And I think that if we set clear boundaries about how we work, and setting boundaries doesn't mean you have to be mean or a jerk. You don't have to do any of that, because you can do it in a way where you are a nice person, but you're letting people know what your boundaries are. Because at the end of the day, if it's going to affect you, then you need to confront it. And you don't have to be assertive, but you can be assertive, but you don't have to be, like I say, you don't have to be mean about it with people. I've had to learn, and it's been quite hard because I'm that person that goes, no, it's okay, it's okay. But then I've had to learn to say, okay, no, tomorrow I won't be able to have a session with you. I have these times available, and I had to be strict about it. And I had to be strict and say in my contract to my clients, okay, if you don't show up on time, then that's 15 minutes less, or whatever time it is that we have to work. That's less of the amount of time we have to work together. And if you miss one session, then we miss that. We can't go back. We've got to continue going. And it's not going to be, I've been quite flexible with some people because I am doing pro bono now. So flexibility in pro bono area is okay. But it's time that's wasted, and it's time that maybe you could be doing something for yourself, or something that you need to get done. So,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, take control of your time. And, with the healthy boundaries, like you don't always have to feel obligated to do things that maybe necessarily you don't have time for. Because a lot of us, we stress ourselves out to feel like we got to do everything for everybody else. But sometimes you just have to be like, if somebody asks you, like, hey, can you do this? Can you hang out? Sometimes you just got to say no. Like, you see what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with just saying, no, I can't do it at this time. Let me get back with you another time. See, the problem with a lot of us, we try to fit too many things in our schedule to where we get burnt out. And then we, tend to overlap certain things, certain events. You see what I'm saying? It happens all the time. Like, you ever had a friend or somebody say, hey, like, let's meet here. I had a friend who used to do this all the time. He used to forget about stuff he had on that day. Because he'll be like, hey man, you want to get lunch at like 12 or something. I'll be like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's do it. You see what I'm saying? So at 12, so you gotta think, if you're gonna ask somebody to do something, you gotta think like from the other person's perspective. Because if that other person agreed to it, right, then they gonna carve out time in their day just to make time for you. And when you tell them like 10 minutes before you supposed to meet, hey, I can't do it. I forgot I had this. See, you just were irresponsible on your end because you didn't look at the time, you didn't look at what you had going on already. See, this is where again you have to really sit down and really create like a schedule for yourself. You have to sometimes you may have to write it down. You got your phone now. You can keep track of stuff in your phone. You can have a physical calendar, which people still use. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to be organized. You have to organize and structure your day. It's hard when you got stuff all over the place. You see what I'm saying? Because then you gonna schedule something that's overlapping something that you already got. You see what I'm saying? And that's one thing I do not like is when people say, hey, when people try to schedule something with me, I agree to it, and they don't say nothing until like the last minute, talking about, oh, I can't make it today because I had something come up, bruh. See, if you do that, see, to me, it's like, man, I just like literally made time, and now you saying you can't do it no more. Like, how does that make sense? Like, for me, it's just disrespectful. Like if you have to cancel, then that's one thing. Like let me know ahead of time. Let me know at least a day or two before. Because if you let me know last minute, like I'm already getting dressed, I'm already getting out the door, like I'm already like anticipating on meeting you, but now you saying no, you can't. You see what I'm saying? So for those people who are notorious for canceling at the last minute, you have to make sure that you are organized your schedule and you make sure that if you're gonna schedule something, make sure you have time to do it. You see what I'm saying? And make sure that you organize, your time because again, your time is valuable. And people will make time to do things that they want to do. And if it's something like if somebody asks you something and you don't feel comfortable doing it, you don't have to feel obligated because they're your best friend or anything like that. If it's something that's not worth your time, you don't have to feel like you gotta do it because then you don't have to feel like you being forced. You don't ever want to force yourself to do something that you don't want to do. You see what I'm saying? So you got
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you on that point. Like, I think that this is where responsibility comes in. You have to be responsible for the things that you do in your daily life, whatever it is. It's a meeting. If you go to work and you get there on time and you punch in, then you should be able to do that for the rest of your stuff, whatever meeting or anything that has to be done, even moving furniture, like you said. So I think one of the important things, I think the key word is responsibility. What we need to take responsibility for our actions. And we need to be considerate of others, especially if we're making plans with others. I can't expect to show up late and for you to be there. You know, it's very, very important that we take responsibility for ourselves. But I think the only way we're going to take responsibility for ourselves is we become what's that called self-aware. When we're self-aware about how our own time is affected, then I think is the only time where we'll really consider another person's time.
it.
Because if you don't consider it for yourself, then you're not going to consider it for anyone else. There's people who do daily things in their lives that perhaps doesn't affect them, but may affect another person. They don't realize that because they've been so used to doing this all the time. This is the way they live, but they really think there's nothing wrong with it. Well, because I do it all the time. But then when it starts to affect them, that's when they'll see. So taking responsibility for that takes a lot of self-awareness, really, about how it'll affect you and those in the other party and I think that becoming self-aware can go into a whole different topic and different realm because becoming self-aware, there's a lot of things that you'll realize that you've been doing that probably perhaps don't serve you anymore. And maybe one of those things is being on time and being courteous to others on that note. You know what I mean? Um, it's a big step to take, uh, becoming self-aware. And a lot of people don't know what becoming self-aware is. So let me just tell you, it's at the self-actualization of the things that are occurring to you or the things that you're thinking. It is basically your beliefs, your self-talk, everything that you do, your actions, everything that you do, when you become self-aware, those are the things that you become self-aware about. So if you are constantly used to showing up late, and every time you have an issue, becoming self-aware would mean that you're realizing, okay, I have a little issue with being on time, and it isn't working for me anymore. How can I rectify it? How can I make it better? How can I do better? I don't think a lot of people think about that though. I don't think a lot of people are self-aware at that point to the considerations of others. At least I've seen it so many times, in this society where we're becoming less and less personal and we're becoming more and more me. I want to say me, in the society we live in. It's changing drastically from what I've seen. But until we become self-aware that there's an issue, I don't think they'll realize that there's ever an issue. And that's why boundaries come into place, and it's so important. Because when you have these boundaries, you're able to say, okay, sir, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it at that time, or sir, we scheduled for this time and you're not available. I'm so sorry. We're going to have to reschedule, or whatever the case may be, in whatever situation. Having a healthy boundary, there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, having a healthy boundary will keep you organized and will keep others. And Chris also mentioned a calendar. I have a calendar. Every single week, I write out my calendar, what I'm going to be doing each and every day, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. Even meditation is in there because I want to assure myself that I'm not skipping a beat, that I'm not on uh, influencing or what's the word I want to use, or taking up anybody else's time. I want to make sure that I'm on time and that I'm doing things the right way, that I'm supposed to be doing it, because other people do have other things to do. And so it's something I live by. And it's something actually that I took in a workshop, and a coach, she was a time coach, I want to say. One of the things she said, the best way to get organized is just that. Get a calendar, write the things down that you have to do. And if you feel that you can't make any one of those meetings or anything on that particular date, then the responsible thing would be, let me call this person to go ahead and um, um, move this meeting or whatever it is you have to do. But I think that until we start doing that, then we're going to be in the same predicament of not showing up, being late.
Yeah. I think that's a great thing. It's like, organizing what you already are doing throughout the day to, see like, you know, what, what you do have time for. And I've said this before, the reason a lot of us don't have time, feel like we don't have time to do the stuff we want to do, is because we spending too much time doing stuff we don't want to do. You see what I'm saying? For example, like a lot of people, and this is a fact, like, I think about 90% of people are doing stuff during the day that they don't want to do, such as work. You see what I'm saying? It's like a lot of people are going to a job that they don't like, and it's sucking their time. And so when it comes time to do stuff they want to do, they're like, "Oh man, I've been wanting to start this, but I just don't have no time." What you doing? Well, you know what I'm saying? It's like you have a problem when it comes time to developing yourself, such as, one thing that I noticed, like becoming, as a trainer, like when clients, like when I talk to clients or try to get new clients, they were like, "Oh, I have to find time to, have to find time to, work out. I just feel like I'm working." You have a problem when it comes time to trying to develop yourself, because a lot of clients I talk to, they know from their own perspective that they need to start working out. They need to start, getting their high blood pressure, diabetes down. You see what I'm saying? They need to start, losing the weight. And it's like these people know this, but again, a lot of them say they don't have time because they're doing stuff during the day that is already occupying their time. And it's like a lot of us struggle with being able to do something to help develop ourselves. Right? When it comes time to doing that, we always claim that we don't have time, but we ain't got no problem showing up for our boss Monday morning. We ain't got no problem doing that.
Let me tell you something. This is the biggest point. I think this is so great that you spoke about this. We want to work smarter, not harder. And this is one of the things like, okay, so I have a story. So I do Uber. And so right now Uber's prices are really dank. Like they're horrible. So like they'll ask you to go 18 minutes and pay you $4 for those 18 minutes while you're driving. Now we all know that that's not cost effective. And so everybody's already like, oh, well, I don't care. I'm going to take those rides. And then we tell them, well, you're working harder because now you got to go and you've got to have like 22 rides a day in order to make yourself $100 versus me, who I can do two rides very far and get $100 in no time. So my point is, you got to work smarter, much more intelligently than just working harder. And through that, yes, you do work hard, but it's working smarter. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people would rather spend time doing things that are unnecessary just to get to where they want to go when it can be done in such a strategic manner to where you get things done in just a period amount of time under, you know what I mean? Like, and you don't have to work that hard. And people don't want to give time to themselves. But like you said, unfortunately for self-development, they don't, but they're ready to show up to the next dinner that somebody cooked, or they're ready to show up to the next party, or they're ready to show up like you said, to work, but why not make time for yourself? If people would just consider themselves their own best friend and realize that they need to take care of themselves much more than they take care of other folks, then I think this would be something that would come into play. And this is exactly what I like to help people see. You are your own best friend. Because at the end of the day, who's going to be with you when you're in the hospital, right? Who's going to be with you when when you have a pain? You know how many times I live by myself, how many times I've had a pain, I've had to go to the hospital, and I got to call somebody to reach out and say, hey, can you take me? Because no one is here. And that's not, I don't get sad over that. It's okay. It's part of being an adult. But I know because of that, that I am my best friend. So in those moments, I got to pucker up. I got to do what I got to do to make sure I'm okay. So when I'm loving myself, those are one of the things that I put into play, being organized. I want to be organized so my day can run smoothly so I don't have any problems. Most of the times, we are our own obstacle. And that includes time management, like we said, well, like we're talking about, because our biggest theme right now is time management. So when you start to get clear with yourself and you start to love yourself, you start to think, okay, time management, I want to be organized, not just for me, but for everybody else. Because if I feel a certain way, then why would I want to make others feel that way? And you want to be clear. You want to be transparent at all times. So being on time and organized is one of the key things that you do when you start to really just focus on who you are, who you want to be, what your goal is. And when you're clear about that, all those things start to fall into play. But until you're not clear about who you are and which direction you're going, these are the things that are going to start to happen. And they may seem minuscule, but at the end of the day, they're not. Because then you're an unorganized person. How many times have I not said to people, listen, I need you to clean my car. Oh, yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, they never show up. So I've taken now a piece of my day. And I said this to one of my friends. He'll kill me if he sees this. He really won't. He'll start laughing. But I said to him, you want to know what? Every time you don't show up, you know what you do? I said, you're not considerate of my time. And then once you're not considerate, I took out my time from working to make sure that I was available because you were coming to provide a service and I was going to pay you. And when you didn't show up, I had to let go of money, a meeting. And he goes, oh, wow. When I said this to him, he goes, I didn't really think about it that way. I said, well, you need to. And so once you become clear and you decide the person you want to be, all those things start to fall into place because you want to be just that. You want to be organized, clear, responsible. You want people to see you in that light as well. For yourself, not for anybody else.
Mm. And speaking of time, we almost run out of time on this Zoom call. We got 8 minutes and 29 seconds. As you can see, I decided to get on the Zoom call, but hey, I'm gonna definitely go live in the next 2 weeks because we got Miss Sandra's segment coming up next week, and then we'll do mine. So I'll go live so I can have some more time, to be able to talk because I still refuse to buy the upgraded version of it. I may have to invest in it sometime if I can find if unless I can't find something else. But anyway, to kind of bring the point home, man, like just kind of wrap everything up, just kind of circling back around to, the whole movie thing about me going over to help the sister out to move. Hey man, listen, ain't no wrong with giving, ain't no wrong with, doing stuff like that. Cause, at the end of the day, after I helped this sister move, I was able to make another connection. I was able to be able to talk to her about personal training and stuff like that. And so she'll most likely become a new client of mine. So, that was cool. Um, but at the end of the day, man, like I say, just like what you just said earlier about, when the guy didn't show up, to help you out in your need, it's like you got to think like, if you're going to, show up for somebody else, or if you're going to ask somebody to do something, you know, for somebody else, or you're going to ask somebody to be there at a certain time, you got to be the one, you got to hold yourself accountable to it, man. It goes both ways. Because again, if you ask somebody, hey, can you do this for me or whatever, that person is already making that sacrifice to make that time for you or whoever else you need or whoever else. You see what I'm saying? And so you have to be considerate. Like I said, at the end of the day, just be considerate of other people's time if you make plans. And as far as for you, you got to be considerate of your own time as well. You see what I'm saying? You got to be considerate of other people's time. You got to be considerate of your time as well. You have to really you have to really make sure that one, is this something you want to do? And if you can't make the commitment, don't don't try to you know schedule it in if that's not something one you want to do or two you don't have time for. You see what I'm saying? So just be smarter with your time. Be smarter, be smart with your time. Don't get on the level of burnout to where you feel like you gotta do 100 things in one day. If you ain't got time to do a few things, that's all right. But like I said, just work smart. Like Sandra said, work smarter, not harder. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to burn yourself out or try to make all these commitments that you can't follow through on. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, I can't do this today, but maybe next time we can do this." You see what I'm saying? Like if you follow up, like I said, if you can make another time, that you can do it, then nothing wrong with that. If you're afraid of people gonna be mad or hurt, then that's their problem. You see what I'm saying? So just remember that. Don't feel like you gotta always try to please everybody. By trying to show up and do things that maybe you don't have time for, maybe you don't want to do. So that's what I'll say on that. And Miss Sandra, I don't know if you got anything else you want to say before.
I think you said it all. Just remember, what type of person do you want to be? You want to be organized, you want to be on time, you want to be clear-headed, you want to, just depending on what you want to be. And from there, take action.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to be on time, I want to be organized, I want to be considerate of others. Take action, and that takes a lot of self-awareness. That's one of the biggest things when you're on a journey of becoming working on yourself and becoming a different person. And I know that that's one of the things that I put into play when I started my journey as well. So, you know, and if you have a hard time doing it, always reach out to us. We can help you organize yourself. That's not a problem at all.
Facts. Facts. And ways you can reach us, Instagram, follow us on Instagram. Follow Miss Sandra on Instagram at SC Life Coaching. Again, that is at SC Life Coaching. Okay. She has been tagged in all my videos. So if you have a hard time finding her, find me at Disinfecting Your Life. That's no space and no capitals. Again, that is at Disinfecting Your Life. That's no space and no capitals. Okay. Follow me on Instagram. Facebook is at Disinfect Your Life because Facebook wouldn't allow me to add the ing. So on Facebook, that's at Disinfect Your Life, and that's another way you can keep up with me as well. And send us a message. send us some feedback, man. If you really enjoying what we talking about, send us some feedback. Hit us up in the DMs. If you ever need just reach out to us and ask us, some advice and everything like that. Reach out to us, man. Connect with us. Um, and yeah, definitely. And I say definitely go check out my link tree that's in my bio. Um, and you'll see all my stuff in there. I got my book, I got my merch, I got connect calls, I got all the links in my social media pages. So hey, definitely check out that link tree, you know what I'm saying? Um, and yeah, and like I said, me and Sandra, we going places, baby. We going places. We got some big ideas coming up. So we gonna keep that on the hush until we figure it out. So, but anyway, that is a wrap for today's show. This your boy, Chris Simmons, alongside Miss Sandra Cruz. We out. Take care, y'all. Peace.